All right. Well, welcome back once again. Lane, I'm going to go ahead and ask you for the cold open this time. Have you seen any movies this week outside of Speed Racer and Cloud Atlas?
I have. I've seen a
What'd you
couple.
watch? Oh.
I watched the most recent, big one was American Fiction, which is a new release movie from 2023. It just kind of got a wide release recently. It's ostensibly about a black author who he can't kind of find success writing his more normal average kind of dude fiction, and so he notices
Love dude
the
fiction.
the premise is kind of dated. So he notices that stereotypical black stories or poverty porn or movies about slavery, that kind of thing, or books about slavery are really, really popular and well acclaimed. And so he decides to kind of write it's not satirical, the movie is trying to be satirical, but he writes this really over the top crime drama, pretty, leading into heavily racist stereotypes kind of movie or book. And it's wildly successful, and he can't believe it, and he's dealing with the fallout of that. The movie is really unremarkable as far as the movie making goes. There's nothing super. There's a couple of interesting visual things, and the performances are all fine, but the story is and this movie is very overtly political, but it's one of the most. It might be the most baffling movie I saw last year, or of 2023. It feels so dated. Yeah. Okay. Christopher and I we'll talk about movies after we see them.
Right.
And he and I talked about this for a while after we saw it, because we were just trying to puzzle it out. The satire feels really dated because I think the book it's based on, so this is based on a book, came out I don't know, the late 90s or early 2000s. And so it was kind of in response at the time to a different kind of movie and book that doesn't really get made the same way anymore, of your Boys in the Hood or Precious, those types of those types of fiction where it is the high crime, really whatever, kind of
Right.
Black fiction. And so now that's not really en vogue anymore, that genre. And so it feels like it's responding to something different and trying to let people in on the joke, let white people in on the joke in a way that doesn't feel relevant anymore. So it just kind of feels
Very
cringeworthy
with the time. Yeah.
Yeah, because instead it kind of now the modern satire of white people who are trying to absolve themselves through
White guilt. Shit. Yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, through black fiction or depictions of racism or black experience are we kind of have passed that genre, and instead now we're in the white people who are listening to the more satirical Jordan Peele style or Blackish or some of these other fiction by black authors that is prevalent today. And I feel instead the movie
Jordan
is
Peele's great too. That guy's
Jordan
great.
Peele's
Sorry.
incredible. Yeah. No, and I said in my review of this movie, this movie circles the parking lot of I would have voted for Obama a third time, that joke from Get Out. That this movie is
Yeah.
it basically makes that joke, and it's that kind of humor about mocking white people, but it's clearly a movie for white people. And so the satire feels like Christopher. The reason it's so baffling is because Chris and I were is this movie actually satirizing that genre, or is this movie just a straight satirizing what you think it is, from its face of white people consuming that kind of really racist stereotypical stuff, or is it satirizing this kind of more smart and hip kind of fiction that it seems on its face? Do you know what I'm saying? It's really, it's kind of a tough nut to crack.
If it's satirizing the thing, or if it's satirizing the formerly satirized version of the thing. Right?
Yeah.
That's already ground that's been tread. So it's
Yeah.
Huh.
It's I guess mild spoilers for kind of the end of the movie. Not really, I think, but we were in an audience, a really packed house, one of the more packed movie theaters I've been in since COVID let out. And the city I live in is a pretty black city, like relatively speaking, especially for like the north. And I regularly see, like when I went to see Beyonce, it was like a completely, like I was like the only white person in the theater, and that was also packed.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, but this movie was like, I think almost all white people, or at least there were no black people in the theater, and it was packed still, and they were all cracking up at some of the like very mid, kind of over the top, like dialed up, like white people hijinks, scenes, or like, and so I was like, okay, and then at the end, there's this very like violent scene that's like played as a joke, but it's really like disgusting, like repulsive, kind of like a joke. The joke is basically like there's a stereotype where black people get shot by the police, like that's like a stereotypical like thing that happens in black fiction, is like encounters with police, and like that was pretty much the whole joke. And you would think that we were fucking watching like Laurel and Hardy, like these people like fucking it cut up in the theater, and it was crazy. Yeah, I was sitting there like mouth agape at Christopher. I was like, what's the joke here? What are they laughing at? Like it felt really like bizarre. And that's why I thought like, could this be a satire of like the type of movie it seems like on its face? But I don't think so. I think it's just like, yeah, I don't know. I think it's just like a weird.
Even if it is a satire of the movie that it appears to be on its face, the fact remains that it still is that movie on its face, right?
Right.
Like, face value, that's what the movie is.
Yeah. At some point, satire, like if you're making fun of or like satirizing or parodying like racism, you're just doing racism sometimes.
You're just being racist, yeah.
Yeah, and like there are a lot of like the whole cast pretty much is black, and like the director and writer, like they're all black. So like I want to believe that this has better intentions than that, but the way it plays and like it really like left me puzzled. So I was disappointed. I thought it going in it would be a little sharper, a little smarter, and instead it felt like if this came out like 5 or 8 years ago, like I think it would have played very differently, like, but instead it feels very like aged. Sure. Yeah. So anyway, so I saw that, but what about you? Did you see anything this week besides our 2 movies?
Nope.
Good movie. Nope.
In Ricky's world, so Pal World came out recently, which is Pokemon with guns, but the Pokemon also have guns. So I've been playing that. That's pretty fun.
I heard something about that. I heard that it's making Pokemon fans mad.
There's a lot. So like outside of the whole Pokemon, like the whole guns thing, there's a lot that like open world Pokemon games could take from that, right? And they do a lot of things really good, like really well. Drawbacks, I don't know. It seems like it's a little too randomly generated. I played for a little bit. It's difficult to, like the curve feels very weird in terms of like the experience that you can get that's available to you, and like how much exploration you need to do in order to achieve that.
Sure. Is this a PC game or is this Switch?
Yeah, I think it's also on Xbox. It might be on Switch. Although there's a number of like assets in the game that I'm like, I don't know how they got away with this, with Nintendo having the lawyers that they do.
Hey, I'm sure they're probably like making a case, and Nintendo's quick with that shit. So
this game has been like in development for a while though, like over a year or something.
It's an
I remember
indie game?
like seeing something about it. I don't know if it's an indie game, but I remember seeing something about it like a year ago, and I was like, ooh, like this looks really cool. These
are Pokemon. Yeah,
they're Pokemon. They're just straight up Pokemon. Yeah. But I don't know. It's really cool. Like the boss fights are fun. There's a multiplayer. The way that you get to sort of build a base is cool, and that's something that like there's a lot of things that it's like, oh, like Pokemon could be doing this like very, very easily, and they just don't. It's got like a sort of interesting upgrade tree as well. I really like it. Having a good
Interesting.
time with it so far. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Between that and Lethal Company, that's it. That's all I've been doing.
Lethal Company. Yeah. I can't believe you can play that game every night. Every time I play that game with you, I'm like, when is this going to get fun? When is this going to get
Nah.
good?
You've had fun with it.
I have
gotten
had fun,
scared.
but mostly because well, that's a low bar.
Wow. But yeah, but
No.
that's all the game is. It's just, messing around, having a fun time, and
But I feel like I've seen one monster in that game. Like, I feel like I didn't actually, like, I don't know. I feel like I haven't seen what everybody else sees with that game so much. So this podcast is called We Want to Play. It's about Ricky talking at length about video games that no one else cares about.
wow. Sheesh.
No, I do think it's interesting. You talked about a very poppy video game like piece of media, and then I talked about a weird depiction of race and racism, and those are the two movies that we watched this week. Do you want to introduce the podcast since this is a Rick's pick?
Yeah.
Well, I guess it's both, but
well, it's a little bit of both, but this is We Want to Watch. I am Ricky, an aspiring film bro, according to Lane. And
I
this
had to
is-
put something in the description.
Yeah.
What do you
yeah,
want?
Yeah.
I'm
yeah,
Lane.
yeah. Great
What's our
intro.
podcast about? Thanks.
Our podcast focuses on finding movies that we think the other person should watch and watching them. And then we, discuss. See what sort of impact it has on the culture or just some interesting movie-making techniques.
I really don't like your NPR voice.
All right. Wow. My bad. Hello, and welcome back to Radio.
Ew. Well, I'll bleep that because that has your initials in it.
Oh, true.
Which one should we talk about first?
That's up to you.
Speed Racer came out first, but
Interesting.
we decided on Cloud Atlas first, so I'm cool with either. I'm very I have a lot to say about both of these movies, I think, but I'm very curious to hear more about what makes Cloud Atlas a Ricky classic.
Let's all right. Let's dish on Cloud Atlas then.
Okay, so both of these movies directed by at least Cloud Atlas is two of the three directors are the Wachowski sisters, and then Speed Racer is also the Wachowskis. So they're the creators of The Matrix, among other kind of niche sci-fi stuff that has never done as well as the Matrix movies did. But what's your relationship with The Matrix?
I've seen it before once or twice, and I think I've seen The Matrix 2, but it was one of the re-releases which made everything very green, and it was a little too green for me.
No, I think the movie just looks like that. I don't think it's a re-release thing. Like, the
There's-
movie's just green.
There's like several versions of it, apparently. Like, I saw something
okay.
online that there was like 9 or 10 different versions, and they all have like different like color grading.
grading.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's just like always present. So I don't know
Yeah.
what's going on there.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
too
I mean,
green
the
for
green
me.
makes that movie.
Oh no, it's too green, and it's a bad green too.
It is a little sickly, but I mean, it's
yeah.
computer green. It's computer nerd green.
It is. Yeah.
It's Alienware green.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's Lethal Company Terminal Green.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, I've seen
So,
the
Cloud
Animatrix,
Atlas.
which I really liked.
Yeah, I've never seen those, but I know that there's a
good
few
one.
different like interesting directors and stuff going on in those. But
Yeah. That's a really good movie, honestly. But yeah, let's dish about Cloud Atlas. This is like a movie that I saw maybe when it first came out, and
in
I don't know.
theaters,
not in theaters.
Okay.
Only ever online. But like,
I feel like this movie probably like was in theaters, and then like a week after was on YouTube in full for free.
yeah, wow, not on YouTube, yeah, but I don't know. I'm not going to claim that this is a great movie. I
Hey,
love it,
if you
though.
did, you'd have a lot of company. Some people fuck with this movie hardcore.
Yeah.
So,
I
like,
heavy fuck with it.
Okay.
So I'll say I don't think they really like push the bounds of anything with the cinematography. I think
Really?
like, yeah, I mean, I didn't notice anything like crazy with like the camera angles or the lighting or anything. but they do it really well. Like I think it's everything is shot really well. It feels cohesive, especially once you've seen the full thing. It feels like very cohesive, and it sort of feels like there's different stylization choices for each of the like eras, I guess I'll call it, or like each of the different stories that we're following. And I really, really enjoyed the stylization choices between each of them. It makes them feel more like unique, and it gives them their own identity, and you kind of like you just know like every time that there's like a I mean they're pretty sudden jump cuts, but like every time there's a cut to a like new storyline that we're partaking in, you know it like right away.
I could not disagree with you more. One of the big drawbacks of this movie is that I think all of the scenes look the same, especially the middle three. Yeah, like for a movie that is clearly like obviously it's supposed to be this big sweeping thing about humans and how humanity is going to be the same through time, no matter who and what is involved. Like the fucking movie looks the same in every like obviously there's like different settings, but like the visual style is very, very similar in all of them. Like I think the cinematography is okay. I think the editing is pretty impressive in this, even though the pacing of it is kind of tough at times. But,
it's a 3-hour movie. It is a 3-hour movie. It's like it's a lot to buckle up for. You like
it's not even it's not even. I think it goes fast. I think it's a quick watch relative to the time, but like I do think that there are.
You need like.
It doesn't feel like it. It's just more that some of the stories are definitely weaker than others, and the editing to like pace them out, like to kind of like divvy up the timing is janky. Like I feel like it doesn't like we're not spending the right amount of time with each story at the right parts to be able to keep things kind of moving along the whole time. I mean the movie moves, but not as well as it could, not as well as it should, given how frenetic and like ambitious a 6-part sort of story is. But yeah, I think this movie looks really, really visually ugly. Like it's impressive. Really? Yeah, but like I mean the sci-fi, like the Neo, I know we're jumping all over the place, but like the Neo Soul part is like the most interesting looking, other than maybe the very earliest one with the ship. I think that one
I like the
is
ship
okay.
one. I like the future one as well.
Right.
The like ruined future. I think that like all looks very cool, and like there's a bit more playing with like the camera angles and like chase scenes there.
Right. Well, because they're all different movies, right? They're like clearly it's like a pastiche of like, like a historical drama, like a conspiracy thriller, whatever.
But they're
like
all love stories, Lane. All of them. There's 6 of them. But it's just the one story.
They're not all love stories. I mean, the one. I mean, there's love in all of them, but they're not all romantic.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, for sure. They're not all romantic, and they're not like, I guess not like technically love stories, but like. Love is a central theme to pretty much all of them, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. So is race bending is also a theme, and I think all of them. What is that? Like the race. Okay, so you know how the same actors are playing. This is crazy if you're not realizing. If I'm about to hit you with this knowledge, do you know that there's like white people playing Asian people in this movie, right?
Wait,
because the same
really?
actors are showing. Ricky, do you not know the central premise of this movie?
I didn't know that they I didn't know that they were all the same actors.
Ricky!
I didn't recognize that.
Holy shit, the end credits call it out. Tom Hanks is in every single one of these. Halle Berry's in all of them. The Asian people in the Neo Soul, like many of them, not the main girl, but like the archivist, her like lover, her like the guy who comes to sit, like the union rep.
Yeah.
Those are all played by white people. Obviously, I mean Keith David has monolids in this movie. They make him, half Asian or whatever. It's fucking crazy looking. It's repulsive to look at. I can't believe you didn't know it. Yeah, these are white people in. Okay, we gotta pause, and you need to go like look up the credits of this movie so you can see all of the different actors playing different races and genders.
Yeah.
This is I literally can't believe you fucking didn't realize this. Yeah, all the that's the point. Ricky, how many times have you seen this movie and you didn't know that?
A number of times. I mean, so I've seen that like.
Oh my god.
I knew that I knew that they showed up multiple times. I didn't think that they did like the whole like race bending thing. I never picked up on that.
Wow. Yeah.
I think I've just always been like, oh, like these are just people of a different race that look similar to this actor.
That's crazy, Ricky.
Wait, is that racist for me to have not noticed that?
No, I mean I don't think so. I think you're an unobservant film watcher sometimes.
I just thought it was, I don't know. I just thought it was a new character. I was like, oh,
I don't.
well.
It's audacious, so I think that excuses it. Like it's definitely like they wouldn't really make Halle Berry, into like a Jewish woman from the 30s
Like,
with the
my eyes didn't even pick up on it. I just went I was like, oh yeah, no, sometimes they have the same actor. Isn't that cool? Like, that was it.
No. I mean, yeah, it's crazy. It's actually nuts. Yeah, there's some pretty egregious. I mean, the makeup in this is like not great. I mean, there's a couple of scenes of like old age makeup, and some of the ways that they do up Tom Hanks are cool. Mm-hmm. But yeah, like anything that they do with like race, even the entire, I mean, the end, like the future post-apocalyptic segment is pretty tough too, with some of like the quote tribal
makeup and stuff. That wasn't great.
That alone is walking a tough line. But yeah, the fact that Christopher made this comment. Shout out Christopher, one of our
shout out Christoph
listeners of this. Yeah. One of our 8 listeners of this podcast. Also, shout out to our listener in Brussels.
Shout out Brussels.
I thought this was a random fluke. I don't know who you are. I don't think I have any friends. Maybe you're using a VPN, or maybe it really is just some software crawling our podcast every week. But I don't think so. It says that we have a consistent listener in Brussels. So shout out to you, whoever you are. But Christopher pointed out how the like Asian makeup that they were doing, the Korean makeup specifically that they were doing on everybody, it looks exactly the same. Like they had only one version of like Asian eyes and forehead to do, and so
they gotta keep it consistent.
It looks really uncanny and like
bad.
So I can't believe you didn't notice it just because you're like, this looks weird.
So that was my one thing about the Neo Tokyo. I thought
Seoul,
it was like
Tokyo.
Or Neo Seoul. I thought it was supposed to, like, I thought everyone was supposed to look similar. I thought that like they were like, I knew that like they had done some costume work there, right? And I thought that was supposed to add to like, oh, the conformity, yada yada, like you have to stay in line or you get yoinked.
Well, I think that all of the like whatever replicant or like robot like women, like I think they are all mostly played by the same actresses. Like I think like there's definitely like duplication of those actresses, but there are some different ones. So that I think is intentional. But no, they're like Hugh Grant, who plays the.
That's a very white sounding name.
Yeah, he's like the stuffy billionaire in the Halle Berry segment where he's the one who owns the nuclear reactor.
Yeah,
that white guy.
Okay, yeah.
He's in Paddington. You might know him from Paddington.
Paddington.
He plays. He's in all of them, I think, as well. And he plays in the Neo Seoul. He plays like the creepy rapist who like. Yeah.
See, I noticed that because he also plays Cavendish, and like, love Cavendish.
No, different guy. Yeah, different white guy.
Okay.
we should establish all the different like not timelines, but different stories here.
Oh God, are we gonna?
Okay, so
are we gonna have to define the people across them?
I think just that's the whole central thing of the movie.
Well, like the actors across
souls.
them. I don't. All right.
I mean, we don't have to call. But like we can. Their main people in each thing. In each story, I think show up in all the other stories, and so I think it's worth it just to get it straight while we're talking about it. So the earliest, like chronologically, the earliest one is the guy on the slave ship, who rescues the stowaway. He kind of like brings him into the fold, and he's being poisoned by Tom Hanks in pretending to be a dentist or whatever.
Right.
He's pretending to be, and he's just after him. So that guy. He's like the main, that actor is Jim Sturgis, I believe, and he is playing like the main guy in that one in the 1890s or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. And then the next one is the poet, or not the poet, the composer,
Right.
right? The gay couple.
Yeah. Yeah. The Forbidden
That's
Love. Yeah.
Ben Whishaw. There's a lot of
and
Are you a Paddington guy?
I'm not a Paddington guy. I haven't seen
Me
it.
either. Okay, let's move on. Oh, well, okay.
But yeah. So that had the what is it? The like tea shop scene. Love that. I thought that shit was sick.
What do you mean?
Am I crazy?
Expound on that.
Is that?
No, just I want to hear more about it.
Oh.
What's sick about it?
I just like the way that it was shot. And I don't know. I've never. That's like one of the primal drives for me is like just going somewhere and just smashing shit up. I really,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's so sad. It's like it's in a way satisfying, and it's like a karmic release thing where it's like, all right, well, like this, like all of these like pieces of art were like once things of beauty, and they are scraps now. But it doesn't really matter. It like none of this really matters at the end of the day, right? So it's just cool.
It's kind of one of the only more expressionistic scenes in the whole movie. For like as like bonkers, bananas, bug nuts this movie is, that's my live, laugh, love. Like I don't think that it's as visually. Thank you.
That'd be a funny live, laugh, love.
Maybe I'll embroider that next. No, as bonkers as this movie is, it's not that visually like kind of over the top, other than the makeup really. And so yeah, that scene of them like smashing the plates and then all of the plates like falling from the ceiling or whatever, like that's obviously, like I said, more expressionistic than real. I don't think there's a lot of that in this movie, and I really wanted there to be.
Okay.
Like I went into this thinking like, oh, this is like some crazy sci-fi epic whatever. Like the only thing I knew about this movie going in is that Christopher, who has seen it before, and like hit the roof when I said that this was your pick for this week.
Yeah, hell yeah.
He like he was, because he always references Tom Hanks going like, "You speak the real true."
Yeah, the
like,
true. I love the true. Nah, that's so cool.
And so
Come
that's all I knew. So I thought like, okay, it's this like time hopping, genre bending sci-fi thing where like Tom Hanks plays like some like whatever, like, primitive whatever civilization. No, very different. Like when they started to like, I'm trying to think of when I realized this movie was fucking bananas. I don't know, but yeah, this threw me for a crazy loop. So
yeah, I mean, the first time I watched it, the first half hour, I was like, "What the fuck is going on?" And then like,
yeah, by design, I think.
yeah, oh yeah, and then it just like kicks on, and like the thing, it pulls you along so well. It doesn't even lead you; it pulls you, and then like, I don't know. Once I figured out what was going on, I was like, "Oh, this movie fucks. Let's go!" It kicked in for me.
I agree. I was very like, whoa, what is going on here? Like, this is crazy for the first like 30 to 40 minutes. But then after that, I was like, oh, is this all this is? Like, I kept waiting for like the big like crescendo of like I didn't necessarily want like a big interconnectedness. Like, obviously the stories are all interconnected, but I wasn't like gunning for that so much, but just I wanted more of a climax of all stories coming together somehow or something.
Okay. Yeah.
Or like some kind. I was expecting something more mind bending or challenging, and all of the kind of plot. It's very confusing in the beginning, but all of the like plots themselves are kind of cliche and straightforward.
Yeah, and like, the connection between it is very woo too. It's just very sort of like, oh, like they've all got the same the birthmarks. How cool is that?
Right. Yeah, and so I guess I wanted more of like a mind blown kind of reaction from this that I just didn't get, and it left me feeling a little, just a little hollow. I guess.
I could see you being disappointed about that for sure.
But okay, so the second story is the composer who goes off to be like the apprentice of this other composer and shoots him, which I was like cheering at the screen with. I was like, yeah, fuck that guy. Yeah, he called you a bugger.
There's a lot of really satisfying stories is what I think I like about the movie. It's just like 6 really satisfying stories to me, right? And like, I mean, it's not particularly deep, and I don't think what ties them together is very strong either. the whole sextet
thematically
thing.
maybe, but
Yeah.
yeah.
The whole like sextet thing is like, all right, cool, I guess. And the fact that like you hear the song play multiple times, it's like, all right, cool, I get it. Um, but when the book was written, the musical notes that they like the music that because I'm pretty sure he wrote out some of the music in the book. Um, Either that or he like
Have you read this book?
yeah, I don't remember. He either like described it because I read this back in high school, which was a while ago. But he either described it in like great detail what was going on, sort of like the that one song that goes like, oh, the fourth, the fifth, the minor octave, then the major lift, hallelujah, right?
Hallelujah.
Yeah, it does like a very similar thing where it's describing a song that doesn't exist and like wouldn't really sound good
Right.
if it did. And like that's
But it
like,
sounds good reading it. Yeah.
Right.
Right.
So like the song that they picked, I think was like pretty good. I think it worked out really well.
Well, I
I
think they
liked it.
wrote it for this movie.
Yeah,
Too,
yeah,
so-
yeah.
Yeah, it's good. It's a good song. I think it's a good, piece of orchestral music, and it does help at the end too, hearing it, while the Tom Hanks character is kind of like, yeah, wrapping things up at the end
Yeah.
and looking up at the stars.
Mhm.
So that's the second story. The third one is Halle Berry playing like in my favorite genre of movie, which is like angry journalists uncovering environmental like malice.
One of my favorite storylines, by the way, when they get T-boned. Oh my
Yeah.
god, I scream at the camera every time. It's so good.
I
That's
think
sick.
the middle three.
Mm-hmm.
So that's her, and then the next one is the comedy kind of the funniest of all of them, or the most like tongue in cheek, which is Jim Broadbent, the actor. He is playing Cavendish, the like book publisher who ends up getting sent to an old folks' home against his will and has to like break out.
Loved all of the characters
I
there.
think
Big old kooky cast trying
it's
to get
fun.
out. And
Yeah,
and the fact that like
yeah.
he does the soiled green is made of people to and it plays well off of the Neo Soul.
The Nia Soul.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because when he says that, I'm like, oh, so that's what the soap is, that's what's
Right.
happening to these people.
Right.
Yeah, I was
Like
okay.
there's that reveal, and then like I'm pretty sure the scene cuts
Yeah.
to like Neo Soul and one of the only scenes I don't like in the movie. But anyway, go on.
Well, I'm just recapping. So
Yeah, keep listening. To
I'd say that those three are like the worst to me. Like the composer, the Halle Berry, and then the Cavendish.
I like all three of
one.
those
Like,
stories. I think those are great.
I'm not. It's not that I like dislike them. I do
Mm-hmm.
think the comedy is the weakest one. But every time
Yeah.
we cut back to it, it's like the stakes. Not so much the Halle Berry one, but the stakes of the poet and or I keep calling him a poet, the composer and the publisher. They feel so much lower than what the stakes are for the other three.
Yeah.
like,
they let you
it's-
breathe.
it's like
they
it
give you a
really-
second to breathe. You know.
I don't want to breathe.
And one of
if I'm
them's like-
watching a 3-hour movie,
I don't
like I
know.
want to be kept in rap. I want to be like Speed Racer, where I'm like on the edge of my fucking seat, about to have an aneurysm because there's so much happening on the screen.
So they let you breathe in different ways, right? Like at least to me, and I like the way that the composer has like a more emotional story, while the comedy one is like it's literally just played for laughs. I don't know. I kind of like them for that, right?
I guess it leads to the movie feeling uneven in a way that
Yeah.
I think hurts it.
Yeah.
I get like this movie wants to be really sincere and really like not comedy or irony poisoned at all. Like
Yeah.
very, like,
It's a very sincere
we
movie.
should all
Yeah.
like love each other and
Yep.
we're all the same really, and race is just a made up forehead that you put on. I don't know, but like I feel like those middle three kind of detract from that.
Okay.
Because the stakes feel lower and they're not so they're just not as like sweeping or
I don't
epic
know.
as the other three feel.
Well, all right. Okay. Yeah. I'll say they're not as sweeping as epic, but the stakes are pretty high in the journalism one, right? Like
Yeah, but even then, it's not like
it's not end of the
the
world
stakes are high, but
it's
well,
life and death
yeah, it's
stakes,
thousands of
I guess.
people.
Yeah.
But I just feel like the urgency isn't there in the same way. Especially, it takes a minute for it to get going.
Yeah,
You know,
it
it's
does,
like, okay,
yeah.
she like meets with the the ex of the composer, and then she like kind of like meanders her way over there. She finally gets to the company, and then the company, it takes a minute for her to like actually get in danger and like find out about the report. She meets Tom Hanks in that universe too, and so. Yeah, it just takes too long, I think, to get there.
I guess you could say that company
But
was a bit lethal. Yeah.
So then the next one after the Cavendish story is the Neo Soul, which is
Very large jump between these. The other ones feel like a lot closer in
Huge
time,
jump.
but no.
definitely they are. Yeah, I feel like this like sci-fi setting, it's the most interesting one,
Uh-huh.
but it's also maybe the most derivative. It feels like I've seen this exact movie 6 more times. Like there's bits of like Snowpiercer, there's bits of like fucking Blade Runner. Like it just feels like a lot of other movies that I've seen that have done it better, and this is just kind of pulling from all of those and doing it much faster.
Yeah, my only problem from this part is they play for shock value a bit too often.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and so the one scene that I don't like is where they show the like human processing plant, I'll call it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that just like every single time I skip it usually. I think I skipped it this time too. It's like 2 minutes or something. Like with the full speech and everything, but like I don't know. They could have not done that. That's the one part of the movie that I don't like. Everything else I like a lot, but just because it doesn't
Do you
feel
just
like
feel like it's? Go ahead.
So like we see people like being killed and being whisked away, right? And I think that that's enough.
Yeah.
Like they're really just playing it for shock to like show like humans like strung up and stuff essentially, and it's I don't know. It really weirded me out. It's got
Well, it's. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
It's got some uncanny valley thing to it that like I don't know, like very like bad visceral reaction to it every time I've seen it. I just don't like it.
Well, yeah, I think that's fair. And like it's basically doing the Matrix, we're being harvested for
Yeah, for our nutrients, our
energy
whatever.
or whatever. Yeah, but dialed up to 1,000. Like it's like, oh, you like this? You like this fucked up thing? You like this fucked up reveal? What if we did it even worse? What if we fed them back to you? Like it's really, it feels a little in your face about it. And like I said, it's kind of like cliche. I mean, if you have somebody referencing Soylent Green as people in, which to be clear, I think it's hilarious and shocking that you even know that reference.
What? The Soylent Green?
Soylent Green?
Yeah. No, that's a classic movie.
Have you seen that movie?
No, I have seen the scene where he like talks about it. I think I read a book which was like exceedingly similar to that. I've read a lot of sci-fi in my day, but
It's good for you.
it was like
I'm happy for you.
either the Soylent Green book or one that was like heavily referencing the Soylent Green book. So
Yeah. It's so funny that the like super food mini pill whatever is called Soylent. Like I know that they're doing it to be funny,
Yeah.
but like anyway. Yeah, it's a little bit too derivative and like for shock value that just I agree with you. I mean, I didn't skip it, but it just I can see why it would be like leave you kind of turned off.
yeah, like knowing that it's there, if I have the choice to skip it, I'm going to skip it. Right? Like I don't know. I'm gonna get up and get some water or something, and then hopefully not come back until the next scene starts. I don't know.
Yeah.
Just me.
You're valid.
I try to be. And then the last life or the last story.
Yes.
No.
Yes. So the lead actress in the last one, Duna Bay, and then this one, the final one, the like post-apocalyptic Hawaii, is Tom Hanks, playing like the hero everyman that he does in every other movie, but now he's, like transported to this like very strange setting. Maybe this is actually the most interesting just because the world is so unique, right? Like,
Yeah.
of a setting, but the story itself is kind of whatever.
It also takes a long time for this one to really sort of pop off.
Yeah, true. It takes a while. Like,
Yeah.
you have to go through the like opening murder of his family, and then the girl getting sick, and Halle Berry coming to visit. Like, all of that has to happen before they actually get on their trek. Also, Hugh Grant playing the Babadook in this movie. Like,
I haven't seen the Babadook, so I don't get that reference, but I laughed at it.
are you kidding me?
I'm not
Ricky!
kidding you. I will say, though...
You're kidding, you said?
I am not kidding you. I like the way that they...
Oh my God.
I like...
You don't know what the Babadook looks like?
No. See,
Fucking Google the Babadook
maybe,
so you can laugh at my joke for real.
Maybe the reason that I, like, enjoy this movie so much is I haven't seen a lot of, like, what it's derived from, right?
Yeah, that could be.
So I'm just like, wow, what a cool original idea.
Google the Babadook.
Okay. All right, yeah. Yeah, I got you. Okay, I got it.
Thank you.
All right.
No, it's very funny. Also, that's not Hugh Grant. That's fuck.
Is that you,
Oh my God. No, Hugh Grant plays the cannibal tribe leader. No, it's oh my God. It's killing me that I can't think of this guy's name when I know this actor. Hugo Weaving.
What's he
plays,
weaving? Don't weave me.
You got a third one?
No, my third one is just a like sort of follow up from the second one, and it would be like a retweet to the "Don't Weave Me," and it'd be Franz at the pond when I'm looking to make a basket.
So Hugo Weaving, he plays Agent Smith in the Matrix movies. So he's, he's a menacing face.
He's a menace, for
and
sure.
he's menacing. He's menacing in every one of these that he shows up in.
Mm-hmm.
In the first one, he's like a slave trader. Yeah, so he's like popping up everywhere. He hunts Juna Bay, the android replicant from the previous one, the previous story. Anyway, we're jumping all over the place, but yeah, I think the Tom Hanks centric story with him and Halle Berry again, they are. It's maybe the most interesting world, but kind of one of the more boring stories.
Yeah, the Trek is kind of like whatever. Again, it is just kind of like a nice little story. I do like how they... sorry, Lionel is eating at the bag that holds the football. I do like how they play it as though this is like the earliest chronological story for a little bit, before you see technology. Yeah, and then it's like a sudden turnaround.
Before you see the title card. Yeah.
Well, they show some like futuristic technology, and it's like, oh, okay, like this is actually in the ruins of a world, yada yada. So
right,
very Numenera-esque.
Yeah.
But
Numenera, shout out that game.
Shout out Numenera.
Good game.
I like Numenera.
Is Numenera a good game?
I think Numenera is a really good game. Yeah, it's really well thought out.
I think Christopher's playing it tonight. So
nice.
He's trying to get a new group.
It introduces, like, it has interesting mechanics to be able to introduce a very, very, like, character defining powers, right? Which I think is, like...
That's true.
I feel like that's very important in a story, or in a, like, TTRPG, is that you really, like... Because your character past, like, personality traits, which... I don't know, a lot of action-oriented players don't really focus on too much outside of, like, oh, this is what I would do in blank situation. Like, it really comes down to, like, oh, like, here are their cool powers, this is their abilities, and, like, that's, like, defines who they are. Which, I don't know, I kind of like. And I think Numenera opens up a lot of possibilities for that in a cool way. So.
You know what I just hate, though?
Huh.
I agree with you. I just hate. I hate fucking ruins. I hate a
Really?
game where you got to go through ruins.
I
Yeah,
was
I
gonna
don't
say I
like
like
it.
the ruins. I like exploring ruins. I think that's cool.
I don't.
Well,
I don't. I'm like, just give me a book to read. Like, if I wanted to do that. I don't know. I don't want to have to go fucking trekking through a cave and shit. Like, even, hot take, even in, like, Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom, I'm like, anytime I have to go, like, do the lore where it's like, here's the history of what happened, 100 years ago or, like, thousands of years ago, I'm like, just shoot me. Just show me the fucking cutscene. Don't make me go trek through 25 caves.
just take me out
Like,
to the
I don't
lake
care.
and fucking shoot me, Lenny. All right, like I'm done. I'm done with it.
I don't know. Just not a ruins fan. Like, let me make history now. I don't want to read about history, especially in a game.
Okay, fair.
Anyway.
Speaking of Tears of the Kingdom,
Sorry, Christopher. You're a great DM. No, go ahead.
speaking of Tears of the Kingdom, there's this new game coming out soon called Enshroud.
All right. We gotta. We can't do this. We're so.
Okay.
We are way off, and we still have a
right.
whole nother movie
No,
to talk
you're right.
about.
You're right. All right, whatever. Okay, let's go back to Cloud Atlas. I mean, we've definitely talked about a lot of things that likes and don't likes, and we've touched on the main storylines for each of the 6. Is there anything else that you want to talk about specifically?
I had pretty brief notes. Again, I think the plots are like pretty straightforward for better or worse. I think they couldn't be convoluted because of how
No.
there's 6 of them.
Yeah.
I think it's edited as well as it could be for what the movie is trying to do. Although I
Fair.
do think if it was a Cloud Atlas like quartet or maybe quintet instead of a sextet, I think it could have been better.
Yeah, so, like, to be honest, they could have cut the ship scenes pretty much entirely.
No, that's one of the better ones.
You like the
You're
ship
crazy
ones?
for that.
That's crazy!
Yeah.
Wow.
I think that's one of the more more visually interesting. It's still like a little bit like, I don't know. It's straightforward. It's cliche, but I think those are like the scene where he's like scaling the mast.
Yeah,
and,
that's
like,
a cool one.
That guy. Like, I think those are cool. I think
So here's the thing, again, like...
the slavery stuff is like, the Wachowskis are going to do that.
Yeah.
That's just their like big theme. Anyway, go ahead.
As like all of the stories are pretty like they're pretty straightforward. It's nothing like too crazy or impactful, and there's not a ton that's like not a ton of like crazy interesting links between them or like intricacies between the different storylines or like even in the stories themselves. But there's a ton of great moments, right? And like there's just like a bunch of like really cool scenes like all throughout the movie. That's why I like it, right? Like I like that there are cool moments and cool scenes, and the story and the rest of the movie is just there to sort of support those, I guess.
I think if the filmmakers heard you say that, they would send back what's the meme that we talked about several episodes ago? Is it
the
it
robots
Full
one
Metal
from
Alchemist?
Evangelion?
Yeah.
Yeah. Robots are cool.
Evangelion, yeah. I feel like this movie is so desperately trying to take you by the shoulders and be like, don't you understand? People are all the same, man. Like, don't you love people? And,
Yeah,
like,
sure,
don't you
whatever,
have love
I
in your
guess.
heart?
Yeah, whatever. And I get that, and like,
But-
I feel it, right? Like, I definitely enjoy it, and like, I watch it, and I'm like, oh yeah, like it's the bond between them, how nice, cool, yada yada. But yeah, it's just I'm just in it for the spectacle, personally.
I would love to be in it. Like, there are definitely scenes in this that are shocking. Like, I was jumping out of my skin a little bit, like with some of the violence and some of it just because I think I was expecting like a kids movie, or like a family sci-fi movie going into this, and it's like, oh no, Tom Hanks is doing like Peaky Blinders, like he's like doing, he's gonna throw someone over a balcony, a film critic or a movie critic or a book critic.
It was a critic,
and the guy is going to explode on the ground when he hits it, and just like
that's what happens when
like
humans
some
fall.
some very violent. I mean, and like the tracking shot all the way down. That's like pretty. That's pretty aggressive.
It's intense, yeah.
So
and again, like it's like for shock value, right? Like they pump everything up.
shooting the cat or the dog.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
a dog.
Yeah.
That,
That's
like,
fucked.
again, it's like, I get that it's supposed to set up then that character who's just billed as Mexican woman in the credits, which is tough.
Yeah.
I get that that's just to like have her come and have her triumphant moment where she's like, "You killed my dog. Fuck you. Don't call me a racial slur."
Yeah.
But again, it's like, are you just, shooting the dog? Like, okay, you're just
Yeah,
doing
they
backflips
set
to,
him
like,
up to knock
show
him
how
right out
edgy
of the
you are.
park.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, so I hear you. I wish the spectacle was more spectacular, I guess, is my takeaway.
Fair. Yeah, again, I don't
But-
think the movie is like very good on the whole, right? Like, I don't think this is a like high prestige film
It's interesting,
or like
though.
that
No,
great.
but
It's like
No,
it's
but
got
it's-
6
it's
storylines
so
which all
interesting.
resolve.
yeah.
And like it's got a lot of really great moments in it. Again, like, and that's where I feel like it
Yeah.
shines. And it is interesting.
It's-
It's also like it's not a movie that
It's
I have to
weird.
think about, right? Like I can throw it on and it's just like,
That's true.
yeah. I don't think I've seen
I
it
felt
double
like
digit
I was-
times, but like I've seen it at least 5 times, 5 or 6 times, and it's like
Wow.
it's yeah, just like
Wow.
watching it. Yeah, and I didn't pick up on the whole race change thing, race bending.
No, I didn't even mean. I just meant like watching this 5. I don't think there's 5 times of movie in here. Like I don't. I
Yeah?
don't feel like I could find. No, yeah. I mean, I felt what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
Where like partway through, I was like, I feel like I'm experiencing this more than I'm watching it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't think that's a great thing.
Hmm.
Like sometimes that's great to just be like swept up in a movie, especially the first time you watch it. But it was more like, did you ever see? Okay, have you ever seen any Michael Bay movies?
Yeah.
like
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Transformers or
Yeah.
Did you ever see Ambulance?
No.
The one that came out a few years ago.
Uh-uh.
Zach invited Christopher and I to go see that.
Uh-huh.
I don't know, whenever it came out. And I had never seen a Michael Bay movie.
At all?
And
You haven't seen Transformers?
Never. No.
What?
Never seen
That's
it.
crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, haven't seen that. Haven't seen Armageddon. Anyway, so I like that movie is like a GTA. You know how like in Grand Theft Auto you can like turn on in 5, how you can like turn on the cinema mode and it'll like do like these, like rotating camera angle, like aerial
Yeah,
angles, and like
yeah.
it'll show the same scene from like 5 different. It was like that, and so I was. It was like having, like not like a panic attack, but like an asthma attack, like in a bad way. I don't know, like it was a weird movie.
How could that
like,
be
the
in a good
ending was
way?
just so. Like in a cool way, like in a like, oh my god, this is taking my breath away.
okay.
Like, it wasn't like that. And it just like it washes over you in this like aggressive. You feel like you can't catch your breath because like the editing is so consistently sharp and fast,
Uh-huh.
and the camera never sits still. And this, I had the same kind, not nearly to the same extreme, but like the same feeling of like I can't really catch my breath and orient myself because things are happening so frantically, even though there isn't sometimes a lot happening on screen.
Right.
So, it just
I like
it
that.
was like the same feeling, but like kind of hollow.
Huh.
I'm glad you like this movie. I mean, I can see why you like it. Like I said, some people go, nut their pants over this movie.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. I don't think it's
I don't
like
think it's.
that tier, right? Like
Yeah,
I think it's
agree.
like a great film to just like throw on and be able to like, because again it's like it's just for the cool scenes, right? Like every couple of years I'll watch it,
That's fair.
and
There are
like, oh,
movies like that where
these
I'll
cool
just-
scenes.
I'll pull the scenes out and put those on YouTube, on my YouTube.
Yeah,
playlist
I guess I could probably just do that.
Of scenes to watch.
I could honestly probably just take like the 12 scenes that I really enjoy from this movie and watch like a half-hour like fucking compilation
Short film.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I can see liking this. The race stuff
Yeah, it's a little oof.
puts me off.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's too distracting. It's too, I think, not unforgivable sounds dramatic, but like I can't get past it.
It's pretty egregious. I can't believe I never noticed it. That's actually kind of fucked.
I really can't believe you didn't notice either the like white people playing Asian people, like, you know, I guess I can kind of see how, like, you just thought they were whatever, like aliens from the future or whatever, so it's like not as, you know, not supposed to be look like real people.
Right.
But I can't believe you never noticed, like, Keith David it's the same actor, you know, he's
Keith
one
David?
of only 3 black actors in the from The Thing, your favorite fucking movie to talk about. He's the other guy from The Thing.
Oh,
the black man in this
shit!
movie, the older guy. Yeah. That's Keith
That's
David.
fucking crazy! Wait, that's awesome.
We need to, like, get you in a remedial actor course.
You know, Keith
or
David was in
something
Has
that
Been
you
Hotel.
Oh my god. Was he really?
Yeah, no, I'm on his fucking IMDb right now.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's nuts. You know what? Get that paper, King. But no, the fact that you didn't notice that he was wearing, like, Asian makeup and that didn't tip you off to, like, huh, what's going on here? But yeah, like, that just is so. I get what they're doing it for. Like, they're aiming for, like, a, you know, this could be the same, you know, we're the same people across time, and, like, you know, humans are always the same and you can reincarnate and blah blah blah. Like, I get that, but also they didn't need to do that. They could have told that, you know, they could have gotten that point across without doing something funny. It's funny that they don't do blackface. They know that they're like, that's a step too far. We cannot make any of these characters who are not black. However, we will go every iteration short of that.
Yeah.
It's nuts. So anyway, yeah. But I'm glad you like this movie. It's interesting that you like it as, like, a vibes flick.
Yeah, I don't know.
You're allowed. I'm not knocking you.
Yeah. I really enjoy it. And I've liked it ever since it came out. I mean, it's been 12 years. I don't know. I kind of think it holds up. Maybe if I understood what
so.
it's derived from, I'd be a bit more, like, skeptical of it.
Yeah. I mean, that's fair.
Yeah.
You're allowed to have your opinion. Like,
yeah, no, I know.
feel like you gotta defend yourself.
No, I know.
Or qualify. We're coming to this with different perspectives, man.
Man, you just don't get it.
We're all the same, man.
Man.
Across time, man.
Man, time and space, it's like nothing, man. You know?
It's like when Big Cloud Atlas hits blunt. Any other thoughts about this movie?
I think I've got this birthmark that's leading me to someone. Like an invisible string. Taylor Swift made a song about this.
Oh my god. My last thought is Hugh Grant plays the brother in the Cavendish story, when he goes to his brother and he's like, please help me, and his brother's like, yeah, I'll help you by condemning you to an old folks home. That old age makeup is some of the scariest, worst old age makeup I think I've ever seen in my fucking life. It looks awful. He looks like Glenn Howerton from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia in that makeup. It's tough.
To think of it.
Not good. He's they're standing at the pool.
Oh yeah, yeah. That one's a little off.
Yeah. Okay. That was Cloud Atlas. We're an hour in. Speed Racer. 2008. Also directed by the Wachowskis. This was Lane's frame.
Yeah, hell yes. Speed Racer.
So, did you ever see the Speed Racer anime?
I've seen parts of it. I watched like essentially YouTube poop of it, but like not as bad as YouTube poop. It was like an abridged series, I guess I should say.
Like a YouTube fart? What is a not as bad YouTube?
No. Like, have you heard of Dragon Ball abridged?
Yes. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it was like that for Cloud Racer. Yeah.
Speed Racer. You mean.
Fuck.
Cloud Racer. Speed Atlas.
For Speed Atlas. Yeah. Fuck. He beat me to it. Yep.
Oh, we're loopy. Okay, so what did you think of this movie?
I liked it. I thought it was really cool. It's
Fuck yeah, let's go!
it was a
Sorry.
yeah, it was a fun. I mean, it was a really fun movie to watch. I feel like the twists were all kind of like, yeah, I saw that coming. Yeah, that makes sense.
Oh yeah, this movie's not like smart.
Yeah,
In
no,
its plot,
yeah.
especially like whatever. Like, and who gives a shit? That's not. If you're watching this movie for the plot, just walk into the ocean. Like,
So
just give up.
it reminds me a lot of Raimi's filmmaking, with like Spider-Man, Spider-Man
Yeah.
2. It's like just the way that they swap between like shots of people's like faces, focusing on their eyes, and then like weird dynamic camera movements to like what else is to like whatever else is happening in the scene. Very reminiscent of
Yeah.
how Raimi shot his films. And then also it reminded me of like Scott Pilgrim versus the World. Just the
Okay. Go ahead. Go ahead. Finish your thought. Finish your thought.
the way that they have almost like a cartoon-like effect in like a bunch of scenes. Like almost all of them are like very cartoony. It kind of seems like it's like Lazy Town X. What was the one that I said earlier that I just said that I can't think of the name of? Scott Pilgrim versus the World, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And like the villains seem like they're straight out of Lazy Town. Like, I mean, actually, pretty much every character seems like they're out of Lazy Town, and in a good
Yeah.
way.
But I think this. Okay. All right. First, I gotta say. So the only reason I ever watched this movie in the first place, I did try to watch this. The first time was I was high in Minecraft.
Let's
with
go!
Christopher, and we tried to watch this, and I was like, "This is way too crazy. I cannot watch this. This is nuts. I don't. This is not what. It's not fun."
Yeah.
Or no, I think I was on acid.
Oh, okay.
So
Wow.
bad choice.
Yeah. That seems a lot less fun.
And then I watched this because one of the podcasts I listened to, one of the movie podcasts I listened to, Blank Check, they did a whole series on the Wachowskis.
Shout out Blank
and
Check.
They
Shout out the Wachowskis.
do not, absolutely not shout out Blank Check. Fuck that. I mean, it's a good podcast, but they jerk off to every fucking movie. They loved Cloud Atlas. They're all like 5 stars, great movie.
Let's go. I like
nuts.
these guys
Yeah.
more and more now.
And so they really hyped this movie up, Speed Racer, and I was like, okay, like I'll give this a try, even though I'm not really an action fan. Like I don't like The Matrix that much. I like it, but like I recognize it, but I'm not like a huge kung fu movie fan. I'm not a huge action fan. So all of that, I don't have an anime background. So I was like, am I really gonna enjoy this movie? But this movie fucks so hard.
It kicks ass.
And
yeah.
one of the things that I remember them saying in the episode they did about Speed Racer, not to talk about another podcast on a podcast, but
seems
is
bad
that like
manners.
a ton of movies derived from this one after it. Like this movie was really influential. It was panned at the time, but basically that like Scott Pilgrim, I think, was one that they called out. Like all of the movies of Edgar Wright basically like pull from this. Like a lot of like superhero movies are pulling from this aesthetically. Not so much the editing, but yeah, just like the kind of crazy green screen, aesthetic, right? Like when you think of the contemporaries of this movie, right? You've got like your Spider-Mans, you've got like some of the Fast and Furious, like those movies aren't as visually crazy as this movie is, obviously, but like superhero movies now are very, I think, inspired by this, like the beams of light and like flashes of like crazy like fire or like in plasma or something in like superhero movies. Like I feel like this movie influenced those a lot. Anyway, so yeah, I really dig this movie. I thought it was like, when I watched it the first time in full, when I was not tripping balls, like I was alone in my apartment watching it, and like I remember at the end, even in the beginning, being like super invested, but at the end being like actively rising up from my couch and like
like
talking at
cheering.
the screen,
Yes,
because I was
hell
yeah because I was like, yes, fucking so yeah, it's good. I'm glad you liked it.
Yeah, it does well at building emotion. The comedy scenes are also like it's
That's the one thing I don't like.
yeah.
Is the kid and the monkey like begone thoughts. Like I do not want that shit in my movie. It's very like 2008.
It's very 2008. It's very family film oriented. I think they did like pretty well by not making it too overbearing, right?
It's true. Yeah,
Um,
yeah. But if you cut that shit out, I think this movie is even better.
well,
Like that, you could get rid of like 15 minutes of like kid comedy, like of
yeah,
them like fucking around in the factory and like getting candy, and it would be better.
yeah. The kid does, at the very end, he gives a cootie warning before their
Oh,
big
I
kiss
hate
at the
that.
end. That was so funny to me. That was like the one
Really?
kid joke that got me. Yeah,
Oh, I did not like that shit at
and
all.
he was like,
Because
"Oh,
I'm like,
watch
I want to
out."
see them kiss.
Yeah,
Like, like you're robbing me. Like I'm blue balled. Like I want to see them kiss. They don't kiss the whole movie. They keep getting interrupted.
by the
Get off
kid
the
earlier
screen.
too. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So, yeah, this movie. You know what this movie actually reminds me of? Like you mentioned, Spider-Man and Scott Pilgrim, which the Scott Pilgrim came after this, but this is like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. The
The Gene
like the
Wilder.
Johnny Depp Tim Burton one.
Oh,
No, the early 2000s.
I don't think I've
one.
seen that one.
That's good. I would say like it's not good. But the aesthetic, not so much the like obviously like the racing and the colors and like the editing is very much its own here, but the like the visual style of like shiny white and purple and red, like bright kind of like candy coated.
Yeah, candy coated is a really good way
coloring
to
of,
put
like-
it. It like I'd eat
Yeah.
any fucking car off of that track in a heartbeat.
Yeah, I think, and it's nice
I'd eat the
because
track,
Charlie
too.
and the Chocolate Factory.
God.
Shit, yeah.
Sorry, God.
I'd eat Emil Hirsch.
Who's Emil Hirsch?
And Christina Speed Racer
Okay,
himself.
got you right. All right.
Yeah.
Makes sense. He's very handsome in
Um,
this one. Yeah.
He is doing a Leo Dio impression. Like he is
Oh,
absolutely.
like younger Leo Dio?
I think so.
Yeah, okay. I could see that for sure.
Like he's kind of doing like. Have you seen like Catch Me If You Can?
Yeah.
Wow, can't believe you've seen that movie. He's doing that
Wait,
era of
it-
Leo. I think
is-
like kind of like.
Is that the Magician movie? No, that's Now You See Me. Oh, I don't think I've seen Catch Me If You Can.
One day, like when we're 100 episodes deep in this and we have to do something special, I'm going to go back through and find all of the instances of you saying, no, I haven't seen that. I'm just super cool.
You have to find all the instances of me going like, yeah, I think so. Is that the one? And then describing the entirely wrong movie.
But so, yeah, he's like doing like earnest, kind of like, yeah, guy who wants to be taken seriously. I don't think he's a good actor, really, Emil Hirsch. He has an interesting career, but yeah, I don't think he's a great actor, but he is trying his best. I think it works for this movie because the performances aren't really that important. I
Yeah.
think you need something.
He does well enough.
Everybody
right?
here has to.
Like,
Yeah,
he
he's
knew
playing
the
it straight,
words.
and everybody else is playing it straight.
Yeah. He showed
Yeah.
up. He read the
And-
lines. He's got the look.
I will say the scene of them in the car. What scene is
Yeah,
that?
who?
The scene
Like
of
them who?
in the car in this movie. The scene of him and his girl and Trixie,
Uh-huh.
Christina Ricci, in the car when they're talking. They're having like their romantic
Yeah.
scene where they're talking about like where they get their kiss interrupted.
Love that.
They have some good chemistry.
That
here.
that worked
Yeah.
like really well. When they were like
That
going
really
back and
works.
forth, I was like, oh shit.
It was kind of saucy too.
Yeah.
Like it's like, was she opening her legs at him and being like, "Don't you want this?" Like it was so ambiguous. Maybe I'm just a perv and like looking for salaciousness.
No.
between these two
I thought it was
characters.
also very salacious because she was like, well,
Yeah.
a girl needs a reminder.
Yeah. It was good. It was good chemistry and like a kind of like flirtatiousness I think you don't see in a lot of movies, especially like movies like this where it's like not primarily a romance.
Right.
Yeah, so I liked their chemistry, but otherwise I think he's like a wooden board in this movie. Basically.
He also shows emotion later when the one guy like almost kills Trixie, and he almost kills the guy because of it, like Snake or whatever.
Oh yeah, right. When he's
Yeah.
like running, that's pretty fucked up. Like the tire like inches from their
So-
face, and he's like crying, like begging him not to. That was
Those
crazy.
scenes are actually unhinged. Like that's the
They're
wildest
great.
part of the movie.
I do. Yeah, I love that shit.
Yeah.
Where like the cars are just like doing backflips and fucking jumping off the tracks. Like, I'm okay. I liked the Mario movie. I'm in the minority here,
Okay.
as Mario's #1 fan.
Yeah.
It did what I think it set out to do, which is make you want to play Mario. Oh, you got the
I do have the
That's
hiccups.
tough on a podcast.
You could
we can
keep
wait.
these in, but
I'm not keeping this shit in. Are you kidding? The levels are probably blown up.
it's pretty loud each time.
Take a drink of water and take a sec. Tell me when you're gonna hiccup. My patented trick.
Well, so what I always do is I swallow a bunch of air with some water,
And then try and burp.
and then I hiccuped while I was doing that, so I think we're good.
Okay. But the thing is like that movie doesn't work because Mario is not a story movie. It's not a movie with a franchise with like moving stories.
Right.
And so my like pitch for that movie, what I hoped for before they fucking announced the voice cast, which I remember where I was exactly when that video dropped of them announcing like Chris Pratt was Mario.
Yeah.
I will never forget that day. The way that people remember when JFK got his head blown off.
I was thinking 9/11.
So-
Jesus.
That too. I mean, take your pick of like big deal from history.
Right. This is your Roman Empire.
But so it literally, that was my 9/11 was when that got announced. Anyway, I wanted them to do like a Tom and Jerry style, like minimal dialogue kind of take on that movie.
Yeah.
I think that would have been
Yeah.
killer, but they would never do that, of course. But this movie, Speed Racer, is the ideal Mario Kart movie. Like, if you cut out all of the like extra stuff, like the stuff that's not on
the
the
drama,
tracks, like
the
this is
story
what
and
Mario
shit.
Kart.
Yeah.
This
that
this is what Mario should have looked like. Yeah, like the kind of like off the wall, like no care about no care for the physics or like the reality of it. Like everything is crazy and frenetic and unhinged. Like people are getting encased in like bubbles because their car exploded. Like fuck it, who cares? There's spikes on the road.
And I think they could have done
So-
that with a Mario movie and still had it be like, oh, like Bowser has kidnapped Peach, but have it be like during the race, and then they're like trying to solve
Sure.
problems during the race, and have it be some like big, like 40 days across the world type race, but it's like however many days across the
Sure.
Mushroom Kingdom. Like they could have made that work pretty easily,
That'd be incredible.
right? But
Yeah, it's such a disappointment.
Yeah.
Like I liked the Mario movie. Like if they could make a dialogue-free cut of it, like a fan
Ooh.
cut, I would buy it on 4K.
that's
like
crazy, actually.
because it's a good,
Mm.
it's a good-looking movie, but it's the voice acting. Some of it's okay, but yeah, the dialogue is just very like, well that happened, or like. Let's go,
It's
on
a
Peach. I
me,
don't know.
Mario.
He doesn't say it. That's the fucking.
I'm kind
thing,
of glad he
Ricky.
doesn't.
Oh, okay, we can't.
I'm
get
kind
into
of glad
this.
he doesn't. Let's go there.
I'm pissed he doesn't.
Wow.
It's fucked up.
Wow.
Anyway, okay, we gotta move
Yeah.
on. But yeah, the racing scenes, they're crazy.
Oh, yeah.
And they're great. The opening scene especially is like really, really interesting from an editing perspective. The way that it's this like 20-minute scene, and like the first time I watched this, it's like, is the whole movie going to be this one scene? Because they keep cutting to and from like flashbacks and like different races
Yeah.
and like different characters and kind of telling the whole story up to this point. It's
Which
really
I thought was
cool.
great. That was a perfect way to like rope me in, right?
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, oh yeah. I mean, the storyline itself is very like, okay, cool, whatever. Like I get it.
Right.
I definitely thought that Mr. Racer, Speed's father, Pops,
Yeah.
was like nefarious.
John Goodman.
John Goodman, yeah.
Oh, really?
I thought he was nefarious in some way. In the beginning, I was like, oh, like I think that like, I think I called it out as like a twist. I was like, oh, like the twist is going to be that like he's actually in some way evil or like benefiting from like his son
interesting.
dying or something, right?
I feel like John Goodman's screen persona is too warm and fuzzy for that.
I think there was like one
But other
scene
than-
that I was like, oh, like this is a little off, and then like the rest of the movie,
Well,
I was
'cause
like,
he-
oh, this
he-
never again showed up, like whatever.
Because he kicks the older brother out. Or like the older brother leaves and he's like, don't you ever fucking come back here, kid.
Yeah. And
So I could see that.
also, the sparing usage of like curses in this movie, perfect.
Get that weak shit off my track.
Yes,
I love
so
that.
good.
I was cheering
so
on the couch
good.
watching
When
that.
he said that, and like because they had like bleeped out something earlier, or they hadn't bleeped it. Like the announcer had almost
Right.
said like, "Oh, like fuck this guy."
Shit,
He was like,
yeah.
"Whoa,
Yeah.
frick this pal," and I was like, "All right, well,
Yeah.
whatever." I was like, "All right, it's a kids movie, yada yada, whatever." So
that-
when Speed's like, "Get that weak shit off my track," I was like, "Let's fucking go, dude!" I was so hyped for that.
It's good. It's a good, like, emotional, like, it really gets you invested in the, even though the story is, like, obviously you know he's going to win.
Yeah.
Obviously you know the corporation is going to come down, and, like, the message is cute and nice and fine.
Yeah.
Of, like, of all of that. But really, it, like...
It's a hype train. I'm
it-
here for the hype.
It's a hype... It's totally a hype train. Yeah, you so want him to win at the end. So
Now this is frickin' pod racing, am I right?
no.
Yeah.
God, Christopher says that's good. That's actually good.
What?
And he says
No, this is pod
the
racing.
No, not the line. The pod racing in that movie. He says that seeing it in a theater was like life changing.
I mean, I don't know.
But
I haven't
he
seen
was
it
like
in a
8,
really
I
long
think, when
time.
that movie came
Yeah.
out. It is not good.
Well.
So you gotta take my word for it.
Kind of sad.
So from like the perspective of watching a lot of anime,
Yeah.
to me this captures that. From I mean, again, I have a limited understanding of it or limited exposure to it, but this movie replicates animation in general, I think, really, really well, between like the editing style, the like kind of deep focus or like composite shots where it's like somebody's face in close up while there's stuff happening in the like a flashback in the background, like some of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Is really cool.
It's
What do you
it's
think?
really evocative of, and this is going to sound weird, but it's evocative of comic books which are inspired by anime or anime. And the only reason I say that is because the composite shots especially are something that like you couldn't really get away with in an anime. You could kind of get away with manga. That's kind of 50-50, but a lot of authors like wouldn't, like they would intentionally choose not to because like it'd be almost like abusing the medium. But it's something that like again, like that to me was very Scott Pilgrim-esque, and even the comics themselves have this sort of like you see Scott like punch someone and they turn into coins or something, which
Sure.
or like he jumps up for joy and then like you see him like jump from like one panel to the next, and it's like when Speed jumps out of the car at the end. Like that in particular is what I'm thinking of, like as a good example for that sort of thing. And it's not, maybe not necessarily like anime inspired, but definitely like comic book based off of anime inspired. And I would say that the more like anime parts of it are like the racing itself.
Right.
There's some like crazy racing animes. Like Initial D is like the definitive racing anime, like by far, and just the way that they shift between, like you said, like the focus on the eyes and stuff. They don't really do the focus on the eyes as much because, especially animated, it's difficult to convey as much like emotion with just like eyes and eye movements. Although that's like very important to a scene. It's something that like takes a lot of care, which I don't really feel like is given to a lot of anime, especially like
Sure.
a serialized one. But like Initial D does really well with the playing around. So Initial D does this thing where they'll show the stick shift and like the guy's feet going for when he's like shifting gears using the clutch. And like they're very true to form with the car sounds. And this movie,
Oh, sure.
while like the cars are all like made up, yada yada, like seeing the shifts and then like having it like jump to their face and like the look of concentration, then it jumps back and it's like watching them like activate the like gadgets on the car is very anime. Like that's like 100%. It's like, okay, like yeah, I see where they're getting this from. So I think I kind of think they were doing similar things to like what's shown off in Initial D. Um, and I mean, so like Initial D was serialized, so I have like some issues with how they reuse animations and like animation cycles, but on the whole, I think it's like really interesting to watch. And the races themselves are again like it's like sort of recycled the way in which the races play out, but the like the way that they like hook into tracks and the way that the cars move especially is like pretty reminiscent. Again, that one's like more true to form or like more true to life, so it's like it's way more focused on how a car would actually react to like road conditions.
Okay.
Whereas like Speed Racer is very much so like whenever they make a turn, they're
Car go fast.
they're in the pit of the turn every single time. It's insane. Every single time they are like the way that they boost out of turns is so insane, and they're not even drifting with it. They're just like making the turn
yeah.
fast. It's crazy.
Of course. Well, it would be kind of boring if this had any semblance of like reality to it, I think.
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
like,
yeah.
This is a cotton candy movie.
Yeah.
For the in the best way. I say that with complete love and,
100%, yeah.
admiration for this movie. Yeah. Interesting. That's funny, the difference.
Yeah, I mean, I think the differences are kind of like slight, maybe, but
Okay.
and I mean, maybe the Speed Racer anime is like a lot closer to that because from what I've seen from it, like it definitely focuses on like just like the most insane contraptions and shit, and I never really focused on like what the camera was doing in regards to like their eyes or their faces, whereas like this movie, it's like thrown in your face, like that is like so like such a defining feature of it, and honestly, I kind of like it. I actually really like it, especially in like a superhero or like a well, I just meant that like camera, that like sort of camera work, but I really like the movie on its whole. Any sort of like hype train movie or like superhero movie, I feel like needs to do that shit.
Yeah, this movie, I think it blows almost any superhero movie I've seen out of the water, except maybe Spider-Man 2.
And that's the thing.
like-
It's like the Raimi cuts, right? Like
Yeah.
he just did it right.
Yeah. Raimi's a good director.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen Evil Dead?
No.
I don't know why I'm asking you this.
Oh,
I know
wait.
the answer's no. We should watch
Is that Ash and the Evil Dead?
the movies that TV show is based on.
Okay.
Yes, was Sam Raimi.
Okay. Ooh.
So-
Okay.
Yeah. So we should do those maybe in Halloween time.
Yeah,
We should
I'd be
do
down for that for
one
sure.
or two of those movies.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. Cool.
Sweet.
We're going on an hour and a half already.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else
No,
you want to say about? I mean, I could talk about how fucking cool this movie is for a while, but I feel like we're
Cool as fuck. Honestly, between the two, like Speed Racer is a lot shorter and definitely like
true.
made me more invested. Like Cloud Atlas is not a movie I get like too invested in. It's just like yeah, okay, whatever.
Vibesy.
Like oh, like this is a cool moment. This is a cool moment. But like everything outside of it's like yeah, right, whatever. Like I get it. Right, we're all the same. Yada yada. Bleh. Fine.
Yeah.
Like cool.
That's fair. Yeah.
I really like that Speed Racer had like no, like they weren't like trying to like teach a lesson or like
Yeah, the lesson is that companies are bad.
yeah, the lesson is
Don't sell
companies
out.
are bad. Isn't racing cool as fuck, bro? Get out there, get in a car right now. Like get behind the fucking wheel.
I would love to see this in a movie theater.
Yeah. Oh, I feel like that'd be awesome.
Just-
and like
Yeah.
big bucket of
Calm
just really
electricity.
buttery popcorn, you know? Oh man.
Hell yeah. So you can like throw it.
Yeah,
everywhere
yeah.
and be, like, chanting at the screen. We should do that. We should have a screening of this movie.
That would be great, honestly.
Let's rent out a theater.
You know what?
Hey.
We can pitch it to the redacted theater nearby.
Yeah, hey.
Eh,
I'm not opposed.
okay.
Good movies. Well, good movie and interesting movie, I would say. Good picks for this week.
Yeah. I like this week's picks. And next week is a Lane frame. So, do you have a movie you'd like to suggest, or do you have one in mind?
I can give you a choice.
Okay.
Again, I like giving you a choice of these movies. I've not seen any of these movies, I'll say that. But I think you're definitely familiar with at least two of the directors, and you're probably heard of all of these movies. What?
Nothing. Keep going.
Don't tell me Did
No.
your audio like?
Kita tapped the space bar, so this might be in 2, but it's
Oh,
fine.
that's okay. Your cat. That's funny. So the first movie is a kind of like a romantic drama. The second one is a like over the top comedy.
Ooh, okay.
And the third is, from what I understand, a samurai thriller.
Oh, samurai thriller.
Oh, wow. Okay. Here we go. I want to watch Yojimbo, the Akira Kurosawa movie from 1961. Have you seen that?
No, but that's a good one. Okay.
Have you seen like any Kurosawa, like Seven Samurai or Ran or any
I've
of
seen
those?
Seven Samurai. I loved Seven Samurai. That was awesome.
Okay, cool.
So.
Yeah, I have not seen this one. It's got Toshiro Mifune in it, so it's got the same kind of lead guy who is great to look at on screen.
Yeah.
So, and this movie's supposed to be incredible. So I really don't know much about it other than it's about like a Ronin. So yeah,
Sweet.
cool.
Well, that's what we want to watch.
Yes, we want to watch Yojimbo, 1961, directed by Kurosawa. Another fucking movie that is probably like out of our depth to talk about, but
Wow.
you know what? That's fine. We're punching above our weight class. It's fine.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that.
How do we end this episode? What song?
Oh, I don't know. We could.
Oh, can you sing Go Speed Racer? I love that song.
What the? Where they do
The theme
Go,
from the
Speed
end?
Racer? Yeah, I mean that's just it. They just do the go 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 Speed Racer go
Yeah,
Speed
it's-
Racer like that. That's it.
I mean, that is not how it sounds at all, but you know.
Am I crazy?
Go Speed Racer, go Speed Racer, go Speed Racer, go. That's how it sounds.
All right. Well, you can do this. See, put that one on.
Well, I just did.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah, okay.
Put that one on.